Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. Thank you so much for listening, and I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and like. Our Pistons lost a tough one today, 141 to 135, but we got to see lots of cool things. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about some comments Bill Simmons made on his podcast, including if I were a Piston fan, I'd be going out of my mind. But we're going to first talk about the game. Our bench was fabulous. Our bench scored 85 points tonight. But for me, the story was Ausar Thompson. He was magnificent, and we've all been wanting him to get more minutes. We've all been begging for it. And nobody could have even, in my wildest dreams, I couldn't even hope that he would play as good as he did tonight. Well, I guess I should say shoot as well as he did tonight, but he was spectacular on every bit of the game. And why he's been sitting on the bench is we'll never know. But the big thing is, I guess, Monty's letting Ivy play and he's letting Ausar play, and that's what matters. And I guess he's doing better. So hopefully this continues to go on. And it was tough today to overcome the free throw discrepancy. It was, they shot a million. They shot 49, and Monty talked about it after the game. So he said, the other teams just can't keep on running into people and throwing the ball at the rim and going to the free throw line. He said coaches are getting fined, and we talked about the Toronto coach, and then Mike Brown got fined $50,000 because he whipped out his laptop, iPad, or whatever it was, and showed people some fouls that were not right. But people recognized it. Monty recognized it. Will he get fined? He kind of made comments after the Warriors game and didn't get fined, but I was glad that he spoke out. But I really want him to get a technical in a game. I don't know why. I just like to see when somebody shows a little bit of passion. But and we played without Cade. So Cade is going to be back either Wednesday when we play the Hornets or when we play on Saturday when we play the Wizards. So those are two of the games, that even a month ago I was hoping and projecting that we were going to win. So it'd be great for him to be back for that game. And the team's been doing really good, and it's really opened people's eyes. And they asked Monty after the game about what happens when Cade comes back, and he says Cade understands that J.I.'s in a rhythm, and that he's good when he has the ball in his hands, and that he thinks Cade's a smart player. He'll kick the ball up to Ivy, and he mentioned he can script some things. He can call some plays, and they can start with him with the ball in his hands. They did it earlier in the season. They had Killian play the point. That's another thing. So Killian still starts, and he doesn't do bad, but he scores 4 points. He's a non-scorer, and so he scored 2 points. And he dribbles in there. It is the craziest thing in the world. He can dribble right in front of the basket, and nobody is even guarding him. It is just crazy to watch. If you pay attention next game, just to watch, he drives right in the middle of the key, and nobody's even trying to stop him, and he just turns around and tries to kick it out or whatever. But it's just weird. So I just glad that we got to start seeing Ausar play more lately, and he's been playing so well. And it's not going to happen every game. Ivy's not going to play great every game. We've had these games, and they've been fun to watch. We've been complaining. It's been not, a lot of these games have been crappy to watch this year, but, lately it's been a lot of fun to watch the games. Tonight's game, it was even unrealistic. Our 3-point shooting, we were 21 for 37, and that's unrealistic but it still was cool. And Scala and Gallinari made some baskets and shot good, but Burks was on fire again, so those were all cool things. So it'll be great if Cade can come back, and I hope he comes back Wednesday, and then we have everybody, and it just makes you have more players. It hurt having that Stu there. Stu's, we got some guys. Again, Knox, he's 1 for 5, and he only played 16 minutes, but Stu's a better player, and most of the time. So we'll see what happens. I don't know how long he's going to be out. I thought he re-injured his toe, but it's his ankle, so not sure how. But did you watch Ausar tonight? I mean, he comes in the game right away. He offense, the ball comes off the rim. He jumps like 2 feet over the rim. His arms are, and he flushes it, dunks it. And he just was everywhere. He guarded Lillard really tough. He guarded Ausar. I mean, Giannis. Giannis is taking it right at him real hard, and he just moves his feet, holds his ground, and Giannis ended up falling down, and it was Detroit ball. So I mean, he is special. He is special, and it's fun to watch. Like I said, don't expect him to play this great every time. 2 for 2 on threes, and I just glad that he's getting to play. And so I've been begging for him to play 30 minutes every game, no matter how good or how bad he plays. I want him to play 30 minutes. And same thing with Ivy. And so we're going to talk more, not today, but we'll talk when Kate comes back, what I think the rotation should be. But I've mentioned some of it before. But we had 30 assists for the 5th game in a row. So I know they had mentioned that the last time that the Pistons had 4 games in a row with 30 assists or more was in 2006. So I don't know when the last time, if that team ended up having 5, that was, the going to work guys, that was Chauncey and Rip still were playing on the team. So let's talk about Bill Simmons. So Bill Simmons has a great podcast, the Bill Simmons podcast, and he had this mid-season thing where he kind of ran through every team and kind of graded every team. And he started out with the bad teams and started out with the Pistons, and he said, Monty's making 80 million, and the main reason that Eric Spoelstra is getting 120 million now is because of Monty getting that much. But he said Monty should give back $20 million for the way he's treated and handled Jaden Ivey and giving Killian Hayes the ball over him and whatever. The cool thing is that Simmons said that he watches all the teams as much as he can, and he has a league pass team. A league pass is a team that's not your team. And Simmons has been a lifelong Celtics fan, but he knows the whole NBA and all the history of it. But anyway, he still says the Pistons. He still likes watching the Pistons, and they have been fun. Like I said, they have been fun. He said he's taken out some teams that he doesn't care to watch anymore. The Grizzlies and even the Spurs. He said, I'll just watch the YouTube videos of Victor and. Because he said they're not that much fun to watch, but he likes watching our team. He doesn't like watching the Wizards play, and there's a couple other teams he doesn't like watching play, but he still likes our Pistons. But he says, so hilarious. He called it hilarious the way and other teams do it, giving Bagley that contract, that stupid contract, and who are we competing against? And we all knew that, and we all knew that the last year of the contract should have been team option, and even if we gave him 12 million, a lot of people, like he said, who are we bidding against? Nobody. And so, and I still contend that Bagley's not a bad player. And I mentioned last episode that his per 36 point averages he averages 20 points a game per 36 minutes when he was with the Pistons. He just only played 15 minutes a game, and he averaged like close to 10 rebounds a game for the Pistons. And so his first game with the Wizards, he had 20 points, 11 rebounds. Not a surprise to me. And he was 0 for 5 on free throws, and he's a better free throw shooter than that. So anyway, but it was we didn't need to give him that contract. And then he's talking about the irony of us having to give 2 second-round draft picks to get rid of the contract that was a stupid contract to begin with. So that is the mismanagement. He said, what do you need to do to get fired? He said all the people there should be fired. And he talked about the incompetence that Monty Williams has had, and he talked about a lot of things. But he said if I were a Piston fan, I'd be going out of my mind with how this season has gone. So we have been, haven't we? And he said because they are paying the most money to a coach that doesn't know what he's doing, and he's talking about Monty. And again, he's put Ivy through a whole lot of crap, and and it's funny that he's taking credit now. So he said Ivy has been resilient and allowed us to coach him hard. What choice did he have? He had no choice. He believes he's starting to show signs of the player they think he can be at both ends. So Monty's taking credit, and we all know he showed signs last year. We all talked about. It appears that Monty never watched film of last year to know that Ivy could do what he's doing right now. He did it for a month and a half at least last year. So Gores had to have a meeting with him and talk to him about rotations and talk about the young players needing to play and how that should be prioritized. And then there's the big organizational meeting that we've been hearing about where he just saw the light. The light just came on, and he realized they suggested that he play Ivy at the point. He had played like 3% of his minutes at the point the whole season up until now. Um, that that's a positive. It took 42 games or 40 some games before he figured it out, but hopefully it's going to happen. I loved what Stu said. Stu's again a great guy, and he doesn't have to say this because I don't know if he'd risk you know Monty thinking something less of him because he's Monty's boy. Monty loves him, but he said that he's proud of Ivy and the way that he stayed with it, and he's a great teammate, and that you could just tell in his sincerity how much that meant to him, and so that was really cool. So, and I really do think Stu could be a valuable player on a coming off the bench on a good team, but there is that trade that has been rumored, and with OKC that they need to have a tough guy, tough enforcer if they're going to play in the playoffs this year because they just got Chet and they don't really have any size, and so there's been some rumors, and they have this guy Osman Jang that's 6'10", he's 20 years old, he was the 11th pick in 2022. They gave up 3 picks, and I contend that the OKC is the smartest organization in my, it's really hard to define that, but as far as drafting and getting picks and everything like that, a lot of their guys that were drafted even lower have really panned out. So maybe he will, maybe you don't. But if we traded him for Stu, that would be part of the throw-in, and we would get one of their 8 million first-round picks. They have so many first-round picks in the next 5 years, like 17. I don't know. It's a lot. So that's a possibility, but. I want to give a shout out to Richard Burks. He's one of our listeners, and he's the one that sent me the picture. So if you go, I don't know how to do things on Twitter, but he sent me a picture on Twitter. So if you went to Richard Brooks and search for him on Twitter, he had a picture with Ausar's hand, his left hand, on top and behind the ball. He got a great picture of that. So thank you for that, Richard. Happy birthday, Bill Lambier. You're a bad boy, and it was fun watching you play, and you brought a lot of toughness and leadership, and you won some championships with the Detroit Shock. Don't forget that. But just before we end the podcast, I want to just talk about, there was the death that I can't pronounce his last name, but everybody called him Decky. He was the assistant coach for the Golden State Warriors, and their team was all out to dinner, and he had a heart attack, and he's only 47 years old, and he has a family, and he passed away. And Kerr said he's one of the most positive and beautiful human beings he's ever known. Someone who brought joy and light to every single day with passion and energy. And one of the players, the rookie, Brandon Pajensky for the Warriors, said the most important thing he ever taught him was just to smile. And I heard this podcast. It's one of a Piston podcast. And there was one guy after we played the Nets one game, and immediately after the game, I think Burks might have missed a shot, but I know he made a bad turnover at the end of the game, and they showed Alec Burks smiling and talking to one of the Nets. And this guy, Piston podcaster, freaked out because, it's kind of weird. I couldn't be nice. I couldn't be as nice as these guys are. When I lose a tough game to another team, I'm mad. When I coached, I try to be a good sport, but I didn't never spit in my hand and shake hands with anybody or anything stupid like that. But I was upset, and I hated losing. So I couldn't be as nice as everybody is. But Alec Burks brings that smile. You watch him every second you see him, every second he's been on the Pistons, he's had that smile, and he's been just lighting it up lately. So anyway, got to go through the box score. 32 minutes for Bogey. And Bogey was 5 for 15, and so he did not have a good game. 5 for 15 is not Bogey-like. He was 3 for 7 on threes, 6 for 8 on free throws, but he only had 1 rebound and 1 assist in 32 minutes, and so that's not good enough. But he missed some shots, again, that he normally makes, and he's not going to always have a great game. But for us to win, we kind of need him to. But he still had 19 points, but he was minus 27. I think that's like the worst on the team. Kevin Knox, only 16 minutes, 1 for 5, 3 points. Duran, 30 minutes, 4 for 8, and playing against Lopez and Giannis is not easy. But my thing is, he got 0 free throws, and I hate Lopez had 1 foul. Lopez had one foul, and I'm going to tell you, I saw several times where he hit guys right across the shooting arm when they go up to shoot, and he hits them right across the arm, and it's not a foul, and it ticks me off. So, but anyway, Duran only had he had 9 rebounds and 8 points. Ivy did not have a great game, so he was good, but 32 minutes, 6 for 16, 2 for 5 on threes, which is good. 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 turnovers, 18 points, but he still played good. And again, I'm just going to say this over and over again. I'm sure you're tired of it, but this is all about watching Ausar and Ivy and Duran and Cade and these guys get better, and they're getting better finally because Monty's finally giving them a chance to play, and so that is a good thing. So. Killian, 17 minutes, so he's playing him less. And I know when Monty Morris comes back, he should be not playing him at all. And when Cade comes back, even he should not be playing at all. So, but he had 5 assists and 0 turnovers, so that's something. But like I said, he just dribbles in there. And Monty Morris was a 38% shooter. They said he should be back any day. Cade can start practicing. They're just going to. They always have a ramp up time for players. So. But Gallinari played 16 minutes. He was perfect, 1 for 1 on shooting, and it was a 3. He made his only shot. It was a 3. 5 for 5 from the free throw line. He had 3 assists, 8 points, plus 20. So he looks like an old man out there. He does, and I know he's had a lot of injuries, and he's 35 or 36, and he wasn't athletic to begin with, but he still did okay. So. And again, Ausar was that was the highlight of the game for me. 32 minutes, 10 for 15, and 10 for 15. That's 75%, and he's 2 for 2 on threes. But still, he attacked the basket repeatedly, and he got hit across the arm by Lopez. No free throws, so that is just wrong. So 5 offensive rebounds. He just gets the balls. He just gets balls. And even sometimes he doesn't get them. He tips them. And somebody else gets it, but he makes things happen besides being just the best defender on our team. So keep playing me, Marty. That's all we care about. Muscala, 14 minutes, 4 for 4 on threes. So again, this game, we were in it and we still lost, but it was unrealistic. I mean, the odds of us shooting this good again, shooting 60% on threes and at that high a volume is really slim. But still, Muscala played good. He does try hard. He looks old and slow too, but he had 7 rebounds, so that's good. And he didn't have 7 rebounds. He had 1 rebound and 1 assist, 13 points. I jumped over to Burks because Burks had a good all-around game. 30 minutes, 9 for 20, a little bit less than 50%, but he was 50% on threes, 7 for 14. He's just cooking and still drawing fouls, 8 for 8. And I don't know, some playoff team should want him, but I don't know. I don't trade him again. I said I'm not giving Burks and Bogey away. I think they need to be traded. Bill Simmons thinks that they should have been traded. That Bogey should have been traded last trade deadline, and I agree with that too. But if they're not going to give us a good offer, I would just as soon keep them. But if they give us something decent, a young promising player or draft pick or both, then we should trade them. So. But Burks had 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 33 points. He was plus 26. So the bench unit really was great tonight. They, again, 85 points. That's crazy. We had only 8 turnovers, so that was great. And we shot 47%, 57% on threes. But again, the free throw line was a huge thing. We got outscored by 9, and we got outshot by 1,000,000. So that was tough. So anyway, I just want to thank you again. Thank you very much for listening. I think that Giannis, he gets every questionable call. He drives to the basket, and somebody breathes on him, and it's a foul. And that's because he's a star, and he's used to it. And Lillard, the same thing. So you got 2 stars versus no stars, and so that was basically the big difference in the free throws. But anyway, I talked about Decky Milojević, that was the assistant coach, but I said all those things about him that Steve Kerr said and Brandon Podjeski said, but that's the way we all want to be. We all want to try to spread your smile, light up somebody else's life, be the reason someone feels good about themselves, and go Pistons.